All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is Jason, Inked Up Runner here on location at Mill Creek Brewery. Got a special treat for you today. I'm not just interviewing one person, I've got two. I'm interviewing Eric Waterman and Jason Loyd. Thought it'd be different to mix it up a little bit and talk to two people at once. These two guys actually run together a lot, hang out together. Their families are friends, and so they got kind of a lot of stuff in common. And I thought it'd be fun to maybe sit down and talk to them both at the same time. So we'll get started with you, Eric. Let's just hear a little bit about your background. Where are you from? You from Tennessee? Have you always been here? You know, you grow up here, kind of go to school, kind of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, one of the few Nashville natives that are probably left in the area. I think everybody's kind of moved out, or everybody's been replaced by people from all over. So yeah, this is born and bred.
So you in Nashville itself?
In Nashville, yes.
In Nashville, went to school here, everything?
Yep. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So you went to school here. Backstory: Eric and I actually worked together at a laser tag place, probably about 20-ish years ago.
Probably almost 30 years.
30 years.
We're getting a little old. Yeah, it's close to 30.
All right, maybe it was 30 years. I still am going to say 20 years.
Okay. Yeah.
We worked the same laser tag place together. We were exceptionally strong laser tag players.
I worked at the better location. He worked at the secondary one, but
we still beat them though in laser tag. But so anyway, that's the backstory with that. So anyway, let's just get into your running a little bit. So did you run in school at all?
No, I didn't start running until I was probably, well, really running. I think I ran like once or twice when I was younger. Hated it because I probably went, flat out, not knowing what I was doing. Thought running's terrible. I still think running's terrible. But probably didn't start really running until I was maybe 34, 33, somewhere around there. Somebody that I worked with ran at lunch. He's like, hey, why don't you, I went to the gym. He's like, why don't you come run for a little bit? You should probably do this like little 2-mile loop, whatever. So I did that. Could barely make it. Had to walk most of it. So I started slowly, stepping up and running more. And then I think it was 2009 so I ran my first race. Most people do a 5K. I did a 5-miler.
And what was that?
I just did the Boulevard Bowl.
Boulevard Bowl.
That's on Thanksgiving. Yeah,
okay.
It was right before my son was born. And then I was kind of hooked. I had no idea what I was doing.
So I guess the question is, some people, and just looking at your ultra sign up, you seem to be you're quicker than most people. You're faster than me. So you're quicker than most people, and even going back and looking at your ultra sign up results. Of course, I can't see all your other results,
yep.
But you've always seemed more quicker than you were slower. Okay, I've always been slower, never been quicker.
Yep.
Quick one time, and but I guess my thing is, did you always kind of find that like it was easy for you, from a speed standpoint?
No. I would say it wasn't until I started really running with the Knoxville Running Club I am now. I got it was a buddy of ours, David Dye. Was kind of, he has that kind of alpha male personality,
Mm-hmm.
And so running with him, it was kind of, we're running out here in these streets. I had no idea where it was going. We're running this pace. I got to stick with him because I don't know where I am. It's dark. I don't know these streets. We're on these weird roads. There's no traffic. There's no street sign or street lights, whatever. So I had no idea where I am. I've got to stay with him, otherwise I'm gonna be lost. And then just started running with him more and more and more. And then Jason started joining us, and then and that kind of progressed me. I say my first 2 marathons were a disaster. They were awful. I hate to say they were slow because some people would love to have the times I did.
Right.
But they weren't that good. They're great. It did not come naturally.
Well, and that's good that you were able to keep up with him.
The tables have turned for sure now. But I would say another friend of ours, Joe Relia, started coming out, and Joe Joe's fast. And it was the two of us together running these races, pushing each other to do this and go above and beyond what we were. It was
young,
yeah, for sure. Young come out and he bust us, and it's nice to, like I said, we definitely have turned the tables on a lot of those guys lately, but no, it definitely did not come natural. I would say it was a struggle. at the beginning.
At the beginning. So
yeah.
so you did a couple of marathons. I think before the interview we were sitting inside talking. You did country music.
Yep.
And
which is always a tough one.
Which is now rock and roll. That was my first
it's
one.
Country music.
Oh yeah.
I don't care what you call it. It's country music.
Oh, it was something music when I did it.
Yeah.
The year I did it.
It was facing music.
The year that I did it was the year that they ended up shutting the race down early because the heat was so bad.
I did the half marathon. That was my first half marathon.
I was actually able to finish that year before they pulled everybody. I think I ran it in 4:22 and I literally thought my life was going to end at Shelby part of it, of course, because it was miserable. So you did those, and so what was the part of the course? I mean, of your running course where you decided, hey, I've done the marathons, I want to maybe dig into a little bit deeper into some like I know you've done a few 50Ks, So what was the pull getting into some of the ultra running?
I think running with David and Young. I mean, David has done like a couple hundred ultras, and he started kind of like, hey, let's go run some trails, and so started running trails, and then you're just doing some road loops at Percy and stuff like that, and then I was like, I think I'm gonna do this stump jump race and just go out and run it.
And that was your first ultra?
That was my first ultra, yeah.
That was probably not the best decision.
No, but you know what? Might as well go big. I mean, if you're going to do a hard one, or if you're going to do one, you might as well do a hard one because the rest of them should be easier after that. I mean, that should be. I'm still waiting for that easy one. But
I mean, that seems to be the common theme with all you guys that I'm interviewing. It's like, let me find the stupidest, hardest race, and let me make that my first one. And it's like, it's like that one's really tough. I mean, I ran part of it. I ran it through Rabid Raccoon, and then actually ran the first half of it in stump jump. It's one of the few races I've DNF'd at, and that's one tough course. It's just really, really hard. So you got into ultra running, you did stump jump, and I guess at that point you decided, hey, I want to do a few of these. And I know you enjoy the road just as much as you do the trails.
It's more for the convenience, and like I just like to walk out the door and just run versus having to go drive somewhere and go run, because I mean, you're wasting, I mean, I would say wasting, but I mean, you're looking at, at least for us, 45 minutes per person, each way. Yeah. And it's like I can get so many more miles in for that. I don't know, I just like to walk out the door and run. But I do like trails. I mean, I do like it's for the, just change of scenery. I mean, every time we've done a 50K, I look around, I'm like, you don't get this view on the road. I mean, you're going to like these places that you never would have seen. I mean, especially like running down like in the Chattanooga area.
Oh yeah, Chattanooga.
I mean, I love going down there. We run Signal Mountain, Lookout Mountain. I mean, it's awesome. And even running in person, you get some of the views, and you're like, this isn't stuff. This is the stuff that you drive past.
Right.
That you would never see.
Right.
So I like the road for, like I said, it's just for the convenience. Especially with my wife running and having to balance what she's doing, and we're talking about. So when are you running this weekend? So I can plan when I'm going to run, and trying to balance her thing, because she started doing marathons too, and so it's like I got to make sure that she does her part, and I'll just kind of fill in the blanks.
I got you. That makes sense. That makes sense. And it's tough when because my wife does not run. She thinks running is stupid. She works out.
My wife thinks running is stupid too, but she still does it.
My wife does like the bar, but she does the bar and all that kind of stuff, and jumps on the trampoline. And I remember mocking her one time, thinking that this was easy, and then I tried to do it, and I nearly died. And I was like, I will never, ever say a word about the fitness that you do, because I cannot even.
Mocking your wife always makes sense.
No, it doesn't. I remember thinking to myself,
happy wife, happy life, right? You've heard that? Okay.
Well, what was funny was she did those Jillian Michaels tapes, and I would watch her do them, and I was thinking to myself, this doesn't look hard. And she's like, well, why don't you do one with me? And I was like, sure, I'll do one with you. And so I started doing one, and I was like, I immediately knew within the first 5 minutes I was in trouble. Yeah. Like I was in legit, because you don't want to look like you're that bad of shape. Yeah. But then within like 5 minutes, I mean, I was like falling apart. Right. I couldn't get into it. But anyway, so that's cool. So all right, well, let's jump to Jason real quick, and we'll come back, and we'll just kind of bounce back and forth between you guys. That's the cool thing about this. Is cool. So Jason, are you from around here?
I am. I'm from the same part of town that Eric is, and we didn't know that we went to the same Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. It was a one-room schoolhouse, pretty much. We went to the same kindergarten in Bellevue. Might have had 2 classes there, but it was just a kindergarten, and that was it on Hicks Road out near Percy.
Wow.
And we both went to school there. Had no idea until we were in Nolensville Running Club and talked about it.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm born and raised in Nashville. Lived almost all of my life. But yeah.
So your running path is a little different because you actually have done some Ironmans, which is a totally different, which is that's like on a whole nother level. What there's running, and then there's Ironmans, and like I mean, so what was that like? I mean, how long did it take you to get in, like to be able to get to the point to finish your first Ironman?
It took a couple of false starts, and then it took about 3 years, I guess, something like that. And then because starting out, it was an Olympic triathlon. That was how I started this entire endurance journey. Was I had a friend who suggested doing a triathlon, which was crazy, and I hated running, hated endurance. I mean, it was just like a gym guy. So we prepared for an Olympic try, and then after that, it's just like anything else in running, and with the trail races, you just keep progressing. You just want more. You want a bigger race, and that's how I ended up at the Ironman level.
So did you just so when did you just decide that was it? Like what was the point where you said, I'm done doing this, I just want to do this running thing?
Oh, well, I guess
Have you gotten to that point?
Yeah, I got my last Ironman was just a train wreck in Chattanooga. It was 100-degree heat index, and I got an IV at the end and everything else, and that wasn't necessarily the reason. It was just that I'd been coming out to NRC, and running had just continued to take over more of my training each, as time went by, and I just started to enjoy it more and more. And over time, I started running trails, started branching out on that, and that just became what I enjoyed.
But I noticed you still cycle and you still swim, though. You still do all that. I see all that on Strava. So you definitely like the cross training, So I've only been running for a few years, well, more than a few years, probably about 7 years. I think I ran my first half marathon in 2014.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is, you hear about people and you start following people, and I didn't actually know you, but I've heard of you, and I think I followed you on Strava. And the thing I find interesting about you is the evolution of where you have gotten better as the years have progressed. It is crazy better.
Right.
You're not just barely improving. You seem to be improving and improving. You're almost you're like Benjamin Button. It's like you're just killing it, and it's like you just are continually doing better. So is that due to the cross training? I mean, what do you contribute that to?
A big part of it is who I'm training with, and I've just started throwing myself again. The same thing as what he was talking about. Once I joined a running club, and it became enjoyable, and then I was just trying to run with people that were faster than me, and so I just kept throwing myself at it until. And I started trying to absorb more of what people were talking about in the training, and because I'm also bad about just kind of winging it. And so once I start throwing in some speed training, and you start actually planning, being a little bit more methodical about what you're doing, then I started getting better.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely see that. So we just kind of skipped over the running part.
Trying to run with him, it will make you
better, right?
My answer is the same as his.
Well, and that's good. It's good to be able to push yourself,
right.
because it's funny because
I started making myself uncomfortable.
Well, and
which is what I wasn't doing in the
Yeah, I tell people like how do you get faster? You get out of your comfort zone. If you're comfortable, you're never gonna improve. If you run uncomfortable, and then your comfort level becomes a different level, and then you're like, I mean, you get to a point where you're like, I don't like this. But if you run with the same people and
yeah, it depends on what you're after. Too.
Yeah, exactly,
I mean,
exactly.
If you want, I mean,
if you're happy where you are, cool. But if you want to go a little bit faster, then like go to the next group. I mean, maybe bring your friend with you or something, and go to that next level. But if you are always running, say like a 9-minute pace, and everybody's running a 9-minute pace, you're never going to run faster than a 9-minute pace because that's what you're used to.
Yeah.
But if you hurt, and then you're like, oh, this isn't as bad, then you definitely it definitely increases.
Oh, absolutely, and I agree with that. I think unfortunately for me, I'm lazy, because it just so happens that like my best friend is super fast, and like I'm just too lazy to try to keep up with him, you know. But you're right, it's 100% true, because when you do run with people who are at a high level, you tend to want to perform at that high level. It's no different than, if you take Tom Brady, for example, you can put, people play up to him, right? Regardless of who. One of us could catch 80 balls underneath Tom Brady because he just brings people up, and you're right, that just elevates people. So for you running, you went from Ironmans and triathlons. Like, did you what stage of racing did you like go straight into marathons, half marathons? What was your path?
Yeah, my first marathon was at one of the Ironman I did, and which I wouldn't advise, by the way. It was a disaster, but I still got through it. And then so after that, it just progressed as I dropped away from the triathlon scene. It just became more about, with, like he was talking about with David Guy and people who had done 100 miles and 50Ks and things like that, and you start looking at that. And my wife, well, at the time was running ultras, and she was doing them before I was. So
I remember the first year I ran Strolling Gym, her and I ran part of Strolling Gym together. Yeah. So I remember that.
So I was watching her do that, and as a matter of fact, my first ultra was Will's
earlier,
Will's pistol, and my wife had done that before. Gina had done that before, and so I signed up like, okay, I guess this is going to be awful, and it was a great race, and it was as advertised as far as an ultra goes. It was long.
Yeah.
It was not a 50K, it was a 55K.
Exactly,
and,
Well, what's interesting about those courses is it was funny because, when I crewed Scar with Will and Greg last year, on the way back, we were talking, and Greg was talking about these flat races. And he said these flat races are just as tough as the mountain races.
Oh, yeah.
He said because of the monotony of what you're putting your body through. And I've heard that, right?
Movement.
And I've heard that about the pistol, is it just wears you down. Because it's funny because, I run that creeper trail all the time, right? It's flat. I think it has like 600 feet gain. But it will beat you up, and you like watch it tear people down. Not that mountain runs don't, because mountain runs do. It's definitely different, but it kind of does the same thing. So but looking through your races, you're no slouch either. You did GDR, and so like, is your draw, like when you're looking at races? I saw you did with Cody as well, and you've done BFC. So you're not exactly picking like the I don't know what Pluckerman calls it, but the Kittens 5K that you're running. So is that just like how you challenge yourself? Is you pick these really tough mountain races? I know GDR is very, very hard.
It's definitely the adventure of it. I mean, the getting out there and the climbing mountains, or just even steep hills, whatever. But it's the adventure of it for me. and the challenge. Yeah, I mean, can I do this? If I throw myself at this, can I get it done?
Right.
You know, and that's definitely a big part of it. I mean, yeah, I also have the other races where I'm just trying to get it done as fast as possible, and then there are races where I'm just
Trying to survive.
Trying to survive.
Trying to survive. So
and survive well.
Trying to survive.
Can I survive well?
Right.
You know, or
and I think that's what's great about, you know, looking at, you know, in my time and talking to, you know, all you guys, you know, the ones who run some of these tougher runs and races and whatnot, that seems to be the overarching theme, is just wanting to challenge yourself with something, you know, difficult and hard and whatnot. And I think what the reason why I decided to talk to you guys is I see you guys all the time. Like, you know, like all the time. You're on Strava running together, Strolling Gym you're together, you know, so like I guess the funny thing is when you guys are running these races, especially like Strolling Gym, is there any competition? Or is it just, or is it, I mean, is there a final kick?
Sure.
With like the last 50 yards where one of you go, let's just run it in together, and then you just take off?
It depends on who you ask.
No, there's not that, because usually it's well settled before that time. But no, when we, like at this year when we ran together at Strolling Gym, I mean, we ran together at Strolling Gym. I mean, that's what we were.
We started, we finished.
We were starting
like when it went, and it was more like, I think the conversation we had like a couple weeks before was like, hey, let's run it together, but let's run it together.
Yeah.
Like, let's start together, let's finish together. It was more for my benefit than his, because like I remembered that I have Strolling Gym coming up like 6 weeks before. And I was like, oh, I got trained for this. And it's like, there's no way I'm gonna finish this without having him. Like, there's no way. And so I was like, all right, like we were going for, like, we've done it, we've both done it a couple times, and we've done red shirt. It's like, let's go for blue shirt this year. And it's like, but if we don't, like, if we can kind of pull each other along, we can do this. I mean, we're looking at running an hour faster than we've done it before. Mm-hmm. So that was it. But there was no competition like at this. I mean, he definitely, like, if I could have had something like, you know, when you have like a little kid's got the little backpack with a little pull thing, you know, mm-hmm. like he needed that with me, because he was definitely pulling me through that. I think toward the end I kind of kicked it up, because I was looking at my watch going, we're getting close. We need to go, because our mileage was short. I didn't know how short we were going to be, you know. And I'm doing the math, like, you know, at the marathon split we were at 25 and a half, and so it's like, so is the watch wrong or is the course wrong? Don't know. Where are we? You know.
That's
and so it's like, all right, so, you know, even when we hit that last highway stretch, it was like, how much more do we really have? And it wasn't until we saw the end, and I'm like, all right, there's the finish line. But even then, it was like I think I found like my fourth wind or something at that point, and just kind of pulled it through. But we were walking a few times, and he definitely pulled me through.
And that
back half.
And that's such a tough course, especially that back half.
Yeah.
This guy, he's made me such a better runner over time. It's not. I say there's some competitiveness. I mean, we've had our little, like, tally sheet for the year, who wins what, and mostly it's him. But it's not the competitiveness. There's a cap on that. I mean, do I want to try? Because if I can beat Eric, that's huge to me.
I'm good as long as it's shorter than half than a marathon. I'm good. I'm good. If it's a marathon above, it's kind of like,
but anytime Eric beats me, it doesn't bother me at all. I mean, you know, there's some competitiveness there, but it's not. Yeah,
that's cool.
It's a very friendly. It's just like running together.
That's cool. All right, we are back. Took a quick break to refill on some beers, and now we're going to start out by asking a question that everybody's wanting to know. I know I've been wanting to know a long time. When and why did you decide running shirtless with a hydration vest is the right thing to do? I mean,
well, I know you're not asking me.
I know it's not you. There's a whole lot of sexiness right here. You know, every run we see a whole lot of flesh. You know, it's It's become your.
Haven't noticed.
You haven't noticed. I mean, it's because you're probably immune to it. But for those of us on the intranet, you know, we see a whole lot of flesh, and so, you know, what's the draw?
The precursor of that is I sweat a lot, and so any shirt I put on is just 5 pounds of water in a wad of cloth, and so that's the reason that I just stopped running and things chafe. Now, granted, with a hydration pack, you have to find the right thing, or it's going to chafe there too. But
so what
the less I can wear, the better.
So if Eric or I was looking to not wear a shirt, which neither one of us are, but if we were, what sort of vest do you wear?
Patagonia. That's the one I like. There's a Patagonia vest that if I put a little you know, glide here and a little glide here, then I'm good to go, and it does not change.
What's it like running with a sex symbol?
Eric? Oh, it's awesome.
Nope, nobody knows I'm there.
No, I'm sure.
I mean,
no, I'm sure.
Nobody's ever come to me like, "Oh, I've seen you at the race before." It's like usually when Jason's running shirtless, like, "Oh, I've seen you at a race." It's like it's because they just recognize, you know, the half naked guy.
The half naked guy,
that's always,
right?
But it's like, you know, somebody's like, "Oh, you know, like if they have like a metal insert in their arm, like you know, they can tell the weather." It's like I always know when Jason shows up at my house like on Wednesday night how cold it is. Does he have a shirt on? I should probably wear some sleeves.
Right.
If he's no shirt on, it's like, well, short sleeve shirt would be fine.
Short sleeve shirt would be fine.
Yeah.
So you run a lot like that, even in like colder temperatures, and I've seen you do it, and I'm thinking to myself, man, this is kind of out there. I mean, so you've never had any issues where you've been like super cold, where it's gotten to a point where you've like regretted the decision?
In general, no, because in general, once I get going, I warm up, and it's not an issue. The only time is in a long trail race if it's going to be wet. And if it's going to be wet and windy, then it could be a problem. And so that's generally when you're going to see me start putting on some
like sleeves,
layers, some
just
sleeves.
like some
no
sleeves.
Shirt, just
sleeves.
Sleeves and gloves. No
Just
shirt.
sleeves and gloves, you know.
Anything, yes.
It's funny,
because the vest does cover quite a bit.
Right,
so.
because I noticed a friend of mine made a post the other day about a.
And my arms get cold, but the torso is still. I'm still hot.
He made a post about some sort of hydration, some sort of, you know, torso like a shirt. It was a rabbit shirt, matter of fact. And you were like, I have a better solution for that. You know, so save the money on the rabbit.
A lighter weight shirt for that.
You're more aerodynamic. more aerodynamic.
Yes.
So all right. So moving on, since we got the elephant in the room out of the way. So let's just talk about kind of your where you're headed. What have you guys done anything this year? We start with you. You ran any races this year?
I just did Mountain Mist in January, and then we did Sterling Gym. I did the Oak Barrel Half, which is always, I mean, that's like one of, I hate doing the same races over and over and over again, but Oak Barrel, this is my 7th or 8th year, I think, of it. It's like one of those, I did in October, and I turned around and did it in April. It's like, it's definitely not, if you've ever run it, it's not an easy half. And they advertise it as not being a PR, and for a long time it was my PR.
So
it's hard. It's a difficult race because it's hilly.
So that's kind of like your specialty, is like that half marathonish distance.
I noticed marathon-ish. Anything past that, it's like,
I've noticed though you're super fast on half marathon. Not that you're not fast on marathons, but you're quick. Have you ever done the middle half before in Murfreesboro?
I have.
That's a fast course.
Oak Barrel was faster for me.
Really?
Yes, for a long time. Oak Barrel was probably, I think my fastest at the middle half is like 120 to 121, and middle half is like, or I'm sorry, Oak Barrel, middle half is like 120-ish, I think, was the last time I did it. And this year, it was like 118, 119 for Oak Barrel. So it's, I don't know, it's like you said, the flat race monotonous thing. It kills me. I mean, I did the Chicago Marathon a couple years ago, and I just, as soon as we hit the last, if you've ever done it, like the last like quarter mile is like, there's like a bridge, and I was like, where the hell does this hill come from? It's not a hill, it's a bridge. And I was like, we were running flat for 25.5 miles, and I hit this bridge, and I'm like, I can't do this.
And the bad news is Strava won't even count that as elevation gain because it's a man-made.
Oh, it's a bridge.
It's a man-made.
Yeah.
So well, and what's funny is like the middle half changed their course. I
have not run it with the new course.
Yeah, they started the square and we came back.
Yeah, I've done it from empty issue and then finish on the track. But yeah, for a long time, Oak Barrel was my half marathon PR.
Wow.
Until I did country music a couple of years ago, and I set my sight on doing like a 118, and I did, I don't know, it's like just 118, just under 119, something like that. So awesome. Yeah, I don't know, it's just you got to have the change. You know, if you do something flat, it wears you out.
It definitely does, and I can vouch from that because that's all I do is flat races. So anyway, I've done a couple of hilly ones, but yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying. So you've done those as well. So kind of, you know, what's coming up for you guys? I mean, I know you have the Mid-State Mile next week,
yes, which
I've never have ran the Mid-State Mile, but from what I understand, it's extremely challenging.
Nobody really runs it.
Really?
Everybody trying to walk it.
You just walk uphill and run, kind of just fall downhill.
Well, and it's that last man standing sort of concept, so you're not trying to be, I mean, you can try to be first out of the gate, but that's not going to help.
Only stupid people run that.
Yeah, so hanging in the back is your best strategy anyway. So you walk the hills and run the flats and the downhills as best you can. Just whatever you can do to save your leg.
And so that's next week.
And it's hilly as all get out. So,
yeah. I hear it's tough.
Yeah.
So you have that. You have anything soon coming up?
No, I have not signed up for really anything. I kind of almost enjoyed last year not having any races. You know, it was kind of like it was one of the first summers that I didn't race the summer away, because it was always like, it seemed that there was a, you know, you got Memorial Day 5K, you got 4th of July 5K, Labor Day. It was like every single week. It was like, you know, I mean, you know, a 5K is a short distance, but I mean, if you go flat out, you're done for the day. At least when you get, you know, old like me, you're just done.
Well, I've actually heard, and I would never know this, but I've actually have heard that 5Ks, if you go like the elite 5K guys, running that can be just as hard as running any sort of endurance race, from the standpoint of having to hold a fast pace at that time for such, I mean, because you're like, well, it's only 15 minutes, right? For these, I'm talking about the elite times. I'm not, I mean, so we're talking 5-6 minute pace.
I don't think it matters what but I mean, when you're running as fast as you can for 3 miles, it's as bad as running half of what you can do for 30.
Right.
If you do like a half marathon, even like a 10 miler to a half marathon, you can have a bad mile and still recover from it. If you're running a 5K and you have a bad mile, you're done.
You're done.
You're done. I mean, that's it. There's no recovering from that.
There's no margin for error.
No.
5Ks.
I mean, you're at red line from the time that they say go to the time that you cross the finish line.
Right.
I mean, you literally are at red line, if not past.
Right.
And I've kind of got to that point where I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. You know, I mean, it's no fun. It's no fun. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I broke the barrier that I wanted to, and I'm like, I'm kind of done. Yeah. You know.
I don't blame you. I mean, you get to a point where you just kind of feel like, hey, this is where I'm at. I feel like I've accomplished what I need to accomplish.
I'm not getting any younger.
No.
And it's not getting any easier.
Well, I mean, unless you're this guy, I mean, you know, he just keeps, you know, next year.
You know what? When you start at a really low level, then you
only way is up.
You gotta set your expectations very low, and then you can get better.
So we're starting to lose sunlight. So just to wrap up, but I want to finish off with you, because I know you do have some other things coming up.
I do.
Are you going to tackle BFC again? Because you do BFC every single year.
I have for the past 4 years. I'm on the wait list for this year.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, if I wind up doing it, I wind up doing it. I would like to do stump jump again. I think we both would like to do that because they're going back to the old course.
I haven't signed up for anything, but it's kind of like I have a wish list.
Right.
And that's definitely one of them.
Well, and stump jump usually doesn't sell out till it gets further along. So, but the big race, Jason is tackling Leadville.
Yeah, that's my thing this year.
And Leadville is one of the hardest trail races in the United States. For those of you who don't know, of course you all do, because only trail runners are really watching this. Actually, some family members are. So if you don't know what it is, friends, look up Leadville 100. It's a very tough race. So I guess, you know, you wanted to challenge yourself with that.
Yeah, it's my, it's I guess like a week or so after my 50th birthday, so I thought I'm gonna go.
Is this your crew?
This is one of my crew, yes.
Yeah.
He and David Dye are gonna be there, and possibly, and it looks like maybe Dan Williams
So
will be there too.
So is your goal to, are they pacing you?
Yes.
So is your goal to drop him at some point?
I would love to drop
It'll be
him
an
at some
atta- I mean,
point.
it'll be an
Now, is that
attainable
gonna
goal.
happen?
Yeah.
No.
I'm trying not to be I'm trying not to be a liability in this whole thing. You know?
Yeah.
You need to start running some hills.
Oh no, I know. I've already, like, you know, I tell myself I don't need as many like when we run on weekends. I don't need as many miles as Jason's. Like,
He
well,
just
but I
needs
want to be a
get good
liability.
at hiking because the
I'm
point
good at-
that he's going to be
I'm good
helping
at walking.
me out, there
I'm
may
good
be
at
a lot
walking.
of
So
that.
is he more toward the end of the schedule?
You know what? We haven't decided yet. We haven't picked what he and David, how they're gonna sort that out.
But that's super exciting, and it's a
Yes,
huge accomplishment. So I guess my question to you is, because you're tackling Leadville. I know you've gone out west and done some other things as well.
Yeah. This
I
will be
know
my
you,
second Western race.
and I know you want to run Western States because you've entered it.
Yeah.
I know you want to run it. Not everybody can be Jeff Deaton and get in with like
That's right.
one ticket.
This
But
will be my 5th ticket year if I can get one.
so any thought about trying to run Hard Rock or anything like that? Any of those?
Honestly, yeah, Hard Rock, I just never looked into what it's going to take.
It's a qualifying race.
Yeah, to get those qualifiers. Mont Blanc, sure.
Yeah.
I've looked at what I need to have those numbers.
I'm
but
sure your family would really like it for you to
Yeah.
get into Mont Blanc.
that would be.
I mean, who does not want to have to go to the Alps, right?
exactly.
They're going to be like, you go ahead,
Yes.
we'll be down here
If you
eating.
need crew, I mean,
That's what I'm
you
saying.
got my number.
Ideally,
you know.
I would love to get into that.
I'm also available as
Yes.
well.
There you
All-
go.
Oh, no,
all-
sorry. Too late.
yeah,
We're,
yeah.
we're talking here.
Yes.
So,
Stay out of the
so, all right. Well, guys, I really do appreciate it. We're running out of light, or we could just keep on going
Yeah.
forever. And the beer, obviously, is never going
Flowing.
to empty out of the tap room.
We're humbled for, like, you know, thinking of some, you know, like a nobody, and then Jason. You know, I'm kind of, you know,
Well,
second fiddle to this
well,
guy.
you know, when you have this much sex appeal, it's a lot. So,
Well,
so
you run with a guy who you have to get past 30 miles before you could even think about beating him. Then yeah, it's, You're right.
but you know what? You can easily do that. So there's not going to be a news segment this week because there's really nothing going on. At least I can see in news. There's a lot going on next week. Hopefully, I'm not going to forget anything. I've been prepped by a friend not to forget these races. So let's see how well I do. The big local race is the Mid-State Mile. The big race. Chad Wright's coming back to defend his title. In that dramatic win against Greg Armstrong last year.
Greg coming back?
Greg is not coming back. However, Luke Boschweiler, the Scar King, is going to be there.
Yeah.
And let's face it, Luke does one thing, and that's he wins.
Yeah.
So it is going to be a showdown between those two guys, and most likely both of them will blow up, and somebody we don't know will end up winning it. That's how these things
I'm not
do.
signing up, so it won't be me.
Okay, it won't be Eric. Okay. So, all right. So other than that, we have the Chattanooga Mountain Stage Race, another big local race out of Chattanooga. Never have done it. Somebody spilled it. It's all right.
And on that note,
But the Chattanooga Mountain Stage Race is next week as well. Another big race in Chattanooga. It's always you know, beautiful big names usually come out for these stage races. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Nathan Holland out there. We also have the Wild Thing stage race in Huntsville, Alabama. Another stage race that's happening in Alabama. That's got, I don't know, close to 300 runners participating in it, so that should be a big deal as well. And then the last event is the one big national event, and that is the Eastern States 100 miler in Pennsylvania is taking place as well. So we have all these events taking place this coming weekend. Lots going on. Should have a lot to report in the next week or so. And I think that's it. Thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you on the trail.